Our third featured reader tonight is Janis Carper. Janis is maybe among one of the most prolific multimedia artists I've ever had the pleasure to be around. Heidi, where are you? Heidi told me a story once when Janis's son was small, that Janis would often get up and write a song before dressing and feeding Joey and taking him off to school. Janis, will come to work and tell me, oh yeah, I started doing some paintings this weekend. How many did you do? Oh, 6 or 7, and also writing songs. It's inspiring to be and have the pleasure to work with and be around Janis Carper, and I think many of you feel the same way. On top of that, this is the 12th season of Fishtrap Fireside, and this means that this is the 83rd Fishtrap Fireside event. I think Janis has been to every one of them, or almost every one of them, and this is the first time she's getting up to the podium to read something. Ladies and gentlemen, Janis Carper was raised in rural eastern Washington state, spent a dozen years in Seattle, and eventually found her home in Wallowa County in 2001. She's worked at Fishtrap for 20 years and has also spent those 20 years helping grow and nurture our music community through her work as director of the Wallowa Valley Music Alliance. As an artist and musician, she has always had a knack for songwriting. That's saying it pretty lightly, and is now exploring other forms of expression through the written word. When not making art or music, she loves spending her free time romping through the woods with her big brown dog, Cooper. Welcome, Janis Carper.
Okay, thank you. I had the honor of being involved in one of Fishtrap's online writing workshops this past winter, the Playful Essay with Perrin Kearns. And I want to give a big shout out to Perrin and our wonderful writers in that group. It was really a new experience for me. And this, she taught us about what's called a braided essay, which had multiple points of view. And so that was my assignment, and so that's what I'm reading tonight. Language warning. There's an F-bomb, but just in the title, so plug your ears, kids. So, all right, here goes. My fucked up beautiful life, a tale of gratitude and grief. Here it is, the 31st of December. Goodbye, 2024. I wish I could just slam the door shut and throw away the key, but alas, my troubles will be following me right on into the new year as I try to figure out how to avoid paying taxes on $250,000 of money that was stolen by scammers. But that was not on my mind on this bright, brilliant afternoon. Cooper and I went up to the ridge north of town, one of our favorite places for a quick romp. I tossed my skis in the back just in case there was enough snow for it, and it would have been perfect. But in my rush to get out of the house, I neglected to check the contents of the purple tote that always has the winter gear in it. Just snagged it from the closet and threw it in the truck. Ha, skates, mittens, yak tracks, but no ski boots. Wonder where they ended up. Well, I guess we hike. We took off up the hill, and the snow was not very deep, except in the open areas where it drifted to just above my ankles. The midday sun was spectacular, glinting off the landscape. Not even a whisper of wind. Cooper occasionally looked back at me with that happy place face he gets when we go on hikes, as he sniffed the rabbit trails and marked every other tree. Wow, I can't believe she brought me here. This place is the best, except for that one time last winter when I was post-holing through the drifts while she was on those silly sticks she slides around on. Man, that was a workout. I even started whining. She kept telling me to go back to the road and meet her at the rig. Yeah, right, like that would ever happen. I had to keep an eye on her in case she got too reckless and fell down or something. I was having trouble keeping up, though, and remember how I slept so long when we got home? Ooh, that was a fun day. But it wore me out. Now today, this is perfect. In this stunning landscape, in the fresh, crisp air, I'm only thinking about how fortunate I am to be right here, right now, on a ridgetop with my big, goofy dog, trudging through the snow on the last day of the year. I had started to get used to the idea that my entire life savings is gone. So much for retirement. But to have to pay taxes on money lost in a fraud scam is brutal. Thanks to the previous Trump administration's Tax and Job Act of 2017, there's no longer a deduction allowed for loss through fraud. After being in denial for several months since the big scam, I'm now trying to actually deal with it. Oh, wait, where's she going? She's cutting over here through the trees. Yippee, isn't this a blast? And now, I see. Okay, sure, we can get back to the road this way, but really, are you sure? Some of these drifts are pretty deep. Ugh. Getting weary of the deepening snow further out the ridge we got, I decided to cut through the woods and down the steep timbered slope to join back up with the lower part of the loop. It may not have been the best idea, as most of the snow ended up being well above my knees. Quite a workout by the time we met the road, and still probably almost a mile back to the rig. Invigorating, to say the least, eventually peeling off my gloves and hat once we leveled out. The man's name was Jordan, a master manipulator, posing as a fraud officer from my bank. I was connected to him over a secure line by Veronica, who was posing as an agent of PayPal, from which I had just received an email receipt for over $700 worth of gym equipment. Ha ha, yeah, that would be me. Of course, I called the number on the receipt to dispute the erroneous charge. That was the beginning of a 2-month-long spiral into the depths of what my local police called the most elaborate fraud scam they had ever encountered. Yee-haw, that was super duper. Just glad it was all downhill. Okay, race you to the truck. When we reached the road, I realized that sometimes I tend to act like my body's only 40, starting off all gung-ho and energetic, only to burn up all my energy right away. Then, as my unconditioned muscles start to grow weary, I'm at greater risk of tripping, losing my balance, twisting an ankle. The possibilities are endless. I need to remind myself I am not an athlete. How did I, a reasonably intelligent and capable person, get sucked into such a scam? Number 1, fear. Jordan had convinced me that my identity had been stolen and was being used for all kinds of nefarious activity, which I would eventually be responsible for if we didn't put a stop to it. Drug and porn rings in foreign countries, arms purchases in Ukraine, credit cards being secured with my identity. I was on the FBI watch list, too. And it was his job to catch these bad guys. He was enlisting my cooperation in this mission. There would be a series of transactions he would walk me through over the coming weeks in order to secure my money and in the process, catch the culprits. I was asked to trust no one. Don't discuss this with anyone. As I trudged through the snow, I felt grateful for this hillside that I visited so often in all seasons. I passed the little swale where the young elderberry tree stands, naked in the brisk winter air. Oh boy, look at all these rabbit tracks. Yippee, maybe I can chase one. Number 2, trust. Jordan called me nearly every day to work on our case. He often referred to meetings and calls with Interpol and the FBI and government rules regarding the case. He often put me on hold for long periods of time. He was quick to praise my responsiveness and cooperation and my savvy with technology, and assured me that once the case was closed, everything was going to be fine. And I was doing a huge service to our country by aiding in his investigation to apprehend the criminals. I would have the option of attending the eventual trial, though it wasn't required. And of course, there would be the standard compensation package when the case wrapped up. We were making good progress and were almost finished. Meanwhile, we were moving my retirement funds from my IRA, which had been building up for the last 35 years, into crypto, a new Discover account we set up as a pass-through, wire transfers, and cash withdrawals and pickups by couriers. Do you know what size of box you need to fit $80,000 cash? I don't know much about timber management around here, but they did a nice job replanting this ridge with a variety of species, including plenty of tamarack, which makes for a magical carpet of gold on the forest floor in early winter before snow falls. I remember that November day a few years back when I finally had the energy to get out after recovering from COVID. I didn't hike far, as I was still always exhausted, but I sat on that very stump over there in that little clearing and just bathed in the sunlight. Hey, got any water in that pack? All this fun's making me thirsty. Number 3, empathy. One day, Jordan informed me that his wife and son had been killed in an accident. He had nothing to live for. A couple of days before that, he had hung up from our call in a rush, sounding rattled, saying something about not being able to reach his family. He seemed clearly distraught, implied that it may not have been an accident. My pace on the last leg of the loop slows, and I stop to sip from my water bottle, pouring out a bit for Cooper. I guess if I were going to make any New Year's resolutions, one would be to get out here more often, or anywhere. Just do it. Isn't that what they say? I know it's helpful in keeping the dark moods from turning into full-on depression. Oh boy, we're home. Hey, could you please help me down? No? Okay. Oof. Ouch. Not as young and tough as I used to be. Ah, there's the couch. Later, Gator. I wonder what it was that made me so vulnerable. Was it loneliness, boredom, a thirst for danger or adventure? None of these things have been typical descriptors of my life, and neither has been the word victim. Now, as I relax on the couch with my faithful canine companion, the sun sets on another year, and I vow to go on more hikes, spend more time making art and music, and try to be more connected with my people. After all, it was my life savings, not my life. Thank you. Oh, and thank you. And one thing to note, at the same time I was writing this essay, I was writing a new song, and it's called Black Moon. And today is Bandcamp Friday, which means if you go to Bandcamp to buy or listen to your music, the artists get 100% of everything. And so my new song, Black Moon, is for sale for $1 or more. So do with that as you will. And you can also just go to janiscarper.com or my YouTube channel and watch it for free. I made a video of it. And anyway, thank you for listening.